Yeah, it's pretty hard to miss just how fast artificial intelligence is, well, showing up everywhere in all sorts of industry.
Absolutely. You really do see it popping up all over.
From, tools helping with just daily stuff to these much bigger systems promising to completely change how we work. Okay, so let's really dig into what's actually happening on the ground because some really interesting stuff from a new survey.
We do. We're diving into the GBAI Survey 2025. And this survey, it ran between April 22nd and May 13th, just this year, 2025. So it gives us a really first look at how businesses are, actually dealing with AI right now.
Right. And our mission today is basically to pull out the key takeaways from this survey to really get a handle on how different kinds of businesses are using AI today and maybe what they're worried about, what they're planning for the future.
And it's a pretty wide net they cast, the survey pool. That's valuable. We heard from folks in real estate, IT, healthcare, construction, finance, lots more.
A real mix then.
A real mix. And what's really interesting is, they all reported pretty different levels of AI integration, how much they're actually using it.
Okay, so for this deep dive, what are we going to cover? We'll look at the tools they're using now. Yeah.
Yep. Current tools, definitely. Also, how much time and actual money they're putting into it.
And their biggest concerns about needing AI down the road.
Exactly. Future needs, worries, and also how they like to learn about this stuff because it's changing so fast.
And it's all straight from the survey response.
All straight from the survey.
Yeah.
So where should we start? Maybe with what people are actually doing now, current usage.
Sounds good. What's the main picture there?
Well, the data points pretty clearly to most people being at what the survey calls level 1 usage. That's the dominant thing right now.
Level 1. Okay, break that down. What does that actually mean for a business day to day?
So for most people who answered, level 1 means they're using the AI tools that are, easy to get, the off-the-shelf ones, like ChatGPT, Copilot, Google's AI tools, Salesforce AI, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And they're using them for, well, the basics: generating text, drafting documents, making proposals, presentations, content for websites or marketing, writing emails, doing research,
Right.
and maybe automating some small repetitive tasks.
So really those foundational tasks that can take up a lot of time if you do them manually.
Exactly.
Were there specific tools that just kept coming up again and again?
Oh, definitely. ChatGPT was way out in front, by far the most common one mentioned for level 1.
No surprise there, really.
Not really, but we
Yeah.
also saw a good amount of Claude, Gemini, what used to be Bard and Microsoft's Copilot.
Mhm.
And some people also mentioned AI features that are now sort of baked into software they already use for their specific industry.
Integrated tools.
Right. So it seems like most people are starting with what's, easy to access and applies broadly, trying things out.
That makes a lot of sense. Start simple. But you mentioned levels. The survey talked about level 2 and level 3 users too. How are they different?
Yeah, exactly. So level 1 is the majority, but there were definitely people at level 2. Level 2 is described as using custom trained AI.
Custom traits. So they're tweaking the models.
Pretty much. They're taking those basic AI models like ChatGPT and feeding them their own specific data or instructions, stuff that's really relevant just to their business.
Okay.
So examples mentioned there were things like custom GPTs, or maybe tools like Manus.ai, or using something called the Adapt Epi. It lets them get more specific results, potentially more powerful for their niche.
Right. Moving beyond the generic stuff to something more tailored. And level 3.
Level 3 is the most advanced group in this survey. It's described as building custom AI agent workflows connected to their company's unique data.
Okay, that sounds pretty involved.
It is. It's about creating, more complex automated systems, AI agents that can string together multiple steps using the company's own internal data.
What kind of tools are they using for that?
We saw mentions of things like NEN or Langflow. Those help connect different apps and automate workflows. And some were even building completely custom solutions using APIs.
Wow. Okay.
But it's important to stress these level 2 and especially level 3 users, they were, a much smaller slice of the pie in this particular survey.
Right. So the big picture for now is mostly level 1, using accessible tools for those core tasks. Okay, let's pivot a bit. What about investment, time, and money? What did the survey show there?
Yeah, that's another really interesting piece. For quite a lot of the respondents, the personal time they spend using AI tools each week, it's actually pretty low.
How low?
Many reported less than 3 hours per week. And it's a similar story with the company spending per month. A big chunk are in the $1.50 bracket.
$0 to $50 a month.
Yep. Which suggests that for many, getting started with AI hasn't really demanded a huge commitment, either in time or budget.
So a lot of dipping toes in the water, maybe using free tiers or low-cost subscriptions.
Seems like it. Cautious, low-cost entry for many.
But surely not everyone. I mean, there must be some spending more time or money.
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely a range. We saw people reporting much higher investments, like individuals saying they spend more than 4 hours per day using AI.
4 hours a day. Okay.
And companies spending in the $500, $1,000 plus per month range, sometimes even more.
And who are these higher investors, typically?
Well, often it lined up with those higher usage levels. We talked about the level 2 and level 3 folks.
That makes sense.
Or it was people in specific industries, like, say, AI software sales, which, you'd kind of expect. They need to be deeply using the tech they sell.
Right. And was it always a straight line, like more advanced usage always meant more money spent?
Not perfectly, no. You could have a level 1 user who spends a ton of time on free tools, right? So high time investment, but almost no money.
Sure.
It just shows there are lots of different ways businesses are approaching this, different stages, different strategies.
Okay, so current picture. Mostly basic tools, often low initial investment. But what about looking ahead? What are the biggest worries people have about their future AI needs?
Yes, the concern level. This is where things get, well, quite interesting. A clear majority, said they were somewhat concerned.
Somewhat concerned about what specifically?
About needing to level up their AI game in the next year or so, just to stay competitive or, to grow their business.
So a general feeling of we need to do more soon.
Exactly. Like what we're doing now might not cut it for long. That feeling seems pretty widespread.
That definitely tracks with how fast everything seems to be moving. But you said somewhat concerned. Were there people who were more worried?
Oh, yes. A significant group reported being very concerned.
Very concerned, like existential level.
Pretty close for some. Very concerned about needing to adopt more advanced AI just to sort of stay in business, keep the lights on.
Wow. Which industries were feeling that most strongly?
That level of concern really stood out in sectors like real estate, insurance, and IT engineering.
Real estate and insurance.
Yeah.
You can see how AI could really shake things up there.
Definitely. It suggests people in those fields see AI fundamentally changing how things are done. Like if you don't adopt sophisticated AI for property valuation or underwriting or customer service, you might just get left behind.
That's some serious pressure.
Yeah.
Did anyone feel, well, not concerned, like AI isn't going to change much for us?
Yes, there was a smaller group, definitely in the minority, who reported being not concerned. They mostly felt their business would be pretty similar in a year, even without ramping up AI use.
Interesting. So still some variation there.
Always. But the general trend is definitely towards concern, ranging from mild to quite severe.
Okay, it's fascinating seeing that spectrum. Now, with AI evolving so quickly, how up to speed do people actually feel? How informed are they?
Yeah, the survey asked about that too. It seems like most people are trying. The biggest group described themselves as somewhat informed, meaning they're, making an effort, trying and follow the news, keep track of new AI products and what they can do. There's a general awareness and a desire to not fall too far behind.
That sounds familiar, like trying to drink from a fire hose sometimes.
Right. And that came through too. There was definitely a segment who felt not very informed. They basically said it's overwhelming trying to keep up.
I can relate to that.
And then on the other end, you had people who felt mostly informed or even put themselves down as very informed kind of leaders in the space. So again, a real range in confidence and perceived knowledge.
Okay. So businesses see the need. They're trying to learn, even if it's a challenge. How do they prefer to learn? What methods do they actually value?
This is super useful, I think, for anyone thinking about training or sharing AI knowledge. The survey asked people to rate different learning methods.
And what came out on top?
Several things were frequently rated as high value, or at least some value, things like speakers and presentations.
Okay, expert insights.
Yep. Also, workshops and use case tutorials. That really highlights the need for practical hands-on learning. Show me how to use it.
Right, not just theory.
Exactly. And peer groups and discussions were also highly valued. People want to learn from others who are in the same boat, share experiences.
Community learning. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Industry newsletters and podcasts also scored well. Good for staying on top of the latest trends and news.
Okay, so expert talks, hands-on workshops, peer learning, and staying current. What about paying for help, like consultants?
That was interesting. Paid consultants and vendors generally got lower high-value ratings compared to the other methods we just mentioned.
Huh. Why do you think that is?
Well, it could suggest that people maybe want to get a basic understanding themselves first, using those more accessible methods, before they bring in expensive external help. Build a foundation first.
Yeah, maybe understand the questions to ask before paying someone for answers. What about just figuring it out yourself, like online tutorials?
That scored really high too. YouTube and self-learning was often seen as high value. It shows a lot of people are willing to roll up their sleeves and learn DIY style using all the free stuff online.
So it's a mix, really. Structured learning, peer support, and hitting the books or the videos yourself.
Seems to be the preferred blend for many, yes.
Okay, so let's look forward again, the next 6 to 12 months. What actions are businesses likely or unlikely to take regarding AI based on this survey? Let's start with hiring. Are they planning to hire AI people?
On hiring. Well, for a lot of the respondents, bringing on dedicated AI staff or even consultants soon, it's generally not likely.
So no big rush to hire AI specialists across the board.
Not a widespread rush, no. But, and this is key, those people who said they were very concerned about their future AI needs, they were often the ones saying it was very likely they'd hire consultants or AI staff.
Okay. So hiring is more targeted, driven by that strong sense of urgency we talked about earlier.
Seems like it. It's not speculative hiring. It's driven by a perceived immediate need.
Gotcha. What about connecting with other people working on AI? Community stuff.
Now that showed a really strong trend. Across different types of respondents, there was a high likelihood, lots of very likely responses for wanting to join an AI community or mastermind.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, it really points to that desire for connection, for sharing what works, what doesn't, learning together. It backs up the value they placed on peer groups for learning.
It really does. Okay, now a potentially sensitive topic, using AI to reduce headcount. Did that come up?
It did. Some respondents indicated it was very likely they would look to use AI tools to reduce headcount in the near future.
Any specific sectors where that was more prominent?
It was noted particularly among respondents in real estate and also in teaching.
Okay. It highlights that potential major impact of AI on jobs that some businesses are clearly considering.
It's definitely part of the conversation for some.
And finally, what about just buying AI software, investing in specific platforms or products?
There seems to be a strong appetite for that. Very likely to purchase AI-specific software platforms or products was a common answer.
More so in certain fields.
Traditionally prominent, yeah. Among those in real estate, again, insurance, and also the medical field.
So while maybe the initial use is general tools, they're looking ahead to buying more specialized, industry-focused AI solutions.
Exactly. It suggests a move towards wanting AI that's tailored to solve their specific business problems.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. What's the big picture from this survey?
Well, I think it paints a picture of a business world where basic AI tools are pretty common now. Level 1 usage is widespread.
Right, lots experimenting with the easy stuff.
But underneath that, there's this growing concern, a feeling that more will be needed soon, ranging from slight worry to serious pressure.
And people want to learn, mostly through practical workshops, talking to peers, expert insights, and self-study.
Exactly. And looking ahead, while maybe not everyone is rushing to hire AI experts yet, there's a definite interest in buying specialized AI software and a strong desire to connect with communities and learn from each other.
It's a fascinating snapshot.
It really is. And we absolutely have to remember this GB AI Survey 2025, it's just that, a snapshot from May 2025.
Right. Things could look different even in a few months.
Oh, incredibly different. The AI landscape is just moving so quickly.
So listening to all this, maybe a final thought for you, the listener. Given these trends, the common starting points, the concerns, the learning preferences, what's maybe one simple step you could take right now to get a better handle on AI for your work or your business?
Yeah, maybe it's finally trying out that tool everyone's talking about, or finding an online group focused on AI in your field.
Or just signing up for a workshop that looks relevant. Think about where you fit into this picture. Are you level 1, feeling concerned, looking to learn? What's your next move?
It's clear from the survey that businesses everywhere are wrestling with this. How to best understand AI, how to use it strategically. It's definitely an ongoing journey of learning and adapting for pretty much everyone.